what you are, the surveys clearly showed they absolutely love you for who you are. Don't change. We asked some specific questions about how they compare you to Napa Valley and Sonoma, and they absolutely appreciate that you are very different, and they do not want you to be anything like that. They don't want to be overrun with motor coaches and crowds, etc. They love you for who you are. Don't change. Stay on task. Finally, very specific tracking. You are making an investment here and you only deserve the best reporting. And so we have put systems in place in this report for very specific tracking and follow-up. Currently, the message on the fulfillment piece is welcome to the waves, wine, and wilderness of Mendocino County. And all the research identified the key elements. When we asked visitors, what do you like most about Mendocino County? What words would you describe Mendocino County? They all went back to ocean coast, scenic beauty, wineries, and redwoods. So based on that, we recommend your new positioning for the county be, for tourism promotion, coastal villages, handcrafted wines, and giant redwoods. Mendocino County, where Pacific coastal villages, the Great Redwood Forest, and America's greenest wine region beckon you to come escape to a slower pace. There's something in there for every community in the county. And which is, it's amazing that for a county this big and diverse that we can get down to a promotional message that will work for the whole place. And so we think this is a message that will absolutely work for you. The research has identified this message. It's not us. And so we think going forward it's a very exciting future for Mendocino County. Now, takeaways for you as the leaders of the community. Travel and tourism has huge impact here economically. It is making money for you. It's a very important industry for you with tax relief of $571 per household. Continue funding tourism promotion, absolutely, because you are getting a good return investment for the taxpayers here. And how can you support the travel industry going forward? Signage, roadways, trails, greenways, and nature access, visitor information access. The good news is those are all things that will benefit local residents, and they will also benefit the traveling public. So those items are basically the tide that will lift all ships. With that, we always like to end with this quote from Walt Disney. You don't build it for yourself. You ask the customer what they want, and you build it for them. And the good news here is you don't have to build a thing. The strategy of research worked very well for Disney. Everything they did was based on research with the exception of Disney Paris, which was probably, if they had done a little research on the French, they would have figured out that was not a good idea. But everything else they did worked just fine, and they run the biggest attractions in the world. We don't want you to be the biggest attraction in the world. We want you, the research, the customer says, they want you to stay true to who you are, be Mendocino County, and you will do very fine going forward. Thank you very much, and we'll open it to questions. Yes, do you already have our handout? I apologize for that. We have...
I don't believe so, no.
A 16-page handout.
Questions of Berkeley.
And this has got the research data in it, and Judy and Larry will join me in answering any questions you have.
Supervisor Pinchas.
Just as a comment more than anything, because of the winery and the coast, and it reflected in your report that we don't draw many families with young kids, frankly, because they don't take kids to the wine tasting. Is there any thoughts on how we could improve in that area?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and here's the thing. Based on the research, what we did was we developed a plan for you that we want you to focus on going after, pardon the expression, the low-hanging fruit. We are going to a very tough competitive travel economy, so absolutely the adult market and that positioning is all focused. That will deliver 70–80% of the money you need going forward and growth, okay? Then you've got a ton of niches that you could focus on. You have a few meeting centers, for example, and yes, there's got to be some meeting business there. Families with kids, absolutely. The challenge you have is that your occupancy is already really high in the summer months, and so what we're doing is we would be spending money at a time when there's not many rooms left to sell. If we do nothing in the summer at this point other than what we're doing, we're already filling 70, 80, and in some places 90% of the rooms. So that's the challenge we have, is how do we get kids to come in the off season, really, because in terms of the family with kids market, that's where your room for growth is. So it becomes a really difficult strategy that at this time we don't think it's that important to go after. But with your recreation and your beaches, I mean, sure, you've got product to go after that.
Okay. Other comments, questions? Supervisor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I thought it was an excellent report, and you went through it at quite a rapid pace, and at some point I'd like to look at the larger binder that has all the detail in it. And I was also interviewed by your group, and I think that you did an excellent job, because you were up in the North County, you were down on the South Coast. I mean, you went to all the various markets and really tried to capture the whole picture of the county, not just the certain niche, markets, like perhaps just going to the town of Mendocino. So I think that you really did your due diligence. One area that I think you just sort of touched on was that I think we could do a better job, and we could formalize it more, which is trying to draw small meetings / mini conferences here, and really sort of grow and maybe get a meeting room identified in one area, but then spread that business out to a number of the lodging establishments. I've brought the Department of Fish and Game here for 2 small meetings on the coast twice, and I found that the Promotional Alliance, as well as the individual establishments, were very easy to work with, really wanted to work with us to try to figure out what to do, especially